Stonehenge. For thousands of years, it's been the one monument that has absolutely captured our imagination. But what if I told you that its greatest secrets aren't actually hidden in those famous stones, but buried right next door? Well, let's dig in.
You know this view. I mean, we all do. It's an icon, a true masterpiece of ancient engineering, all perfectly aligned with the sun. But for everything we think we know, the really big questions are still there. Who on earth built it? And maybe more importantly, why?
Well, here's the thing. The answers, as it turns out, might be found by looking away from the stones for a minute and turning our attention to a place just down the road, a place that is totally rewriting the story we thought we knew.
So check this out. This is the Stonehenge landscape. And just 2 miles away, right there, is a place called Durrington Walls. Now, for a long time, people kind of thought it was a separate, less important spot. But what we're finding out now is that it isn't just part of the story, it might just be the key that unlocks the whole puzzle.
Archaeologists started noticing some really strange patterns in the ground around Durrington Walls. So they investigated, and what they found? Well, it was on a scale that nobody could have possibly imagined.
Get this. They discovered a massive circle of deep shafts or pits that stretches for more than a mile across. This thing is so huge, you could fit the entire settlement of Durrington Walls inside it. It's officially Britain's largest known prehistoric monument.
Now, this giant circle isn't a solid wall or a ditch. Nope, it's actually made up of at least 20 individual pits, all spaced out perfectly to create this enormous boundary.
And these were not just little holes in the ground. Each and every pit was a monumental project in itself, over 10 meters wide and 5 meters deep. And remember, they carved all of this out of solid chalk using nothing but tools made from bone and deer antlers. It's just incredible. The lead researcher, Vince Gaffney, he put it perfectly. He called it archaeology on steroids. And that quote just nails the shock and the sheer scale of the find. This discovery changed everything. It suggested we're not just looking at Stonehenge, but at a ceremonial landscape far, far bigger than we ever dreamed.
But this massive monument wasn't some empty space. The excavations at its heart revealed something even more remarkable. This wasn't a place for the dead. It was a vibrant, bustling hub for the living. What you're seeing here is a reconstruction of a huge settlement at Durrington Walls. And the thinking is, this is where the builders of Stonehenge actually lived, where they ate and where they partied during the main construction phase around 2500 BC.
And the evidence for this is just overwhelming. I mean, archaeologists found the floors of hundreds of houses, absolutely massive dumps of pottery and animal bones, basically the leftovers from huge feasts. All the signs point to a big, busy town that was only really lived in for a short, intense period, right when Stonehenge was being built up into the icon we know today.
And what they were eating tells an amazing story. By analyzing the fatty gunk left on old pottery shards, scientists could see exactly what was being cooked. Around the houses, in the domestic areas, the pots were full of pork fat. But in the big ceremonial spaces, it was all dairy and beef. It paints this fascinating picture. You eat pork at home with the family, but you bring out the beef for the big public rituals.
And these weren't just local farm animals. Isotope analysis shows they were brought here from all over Britain, some from hundreds of miles away. This wasn't just a construction site. It was a pilgrimage destination. People gathered from all over for these enormous festivals, probably held in the dead of winter.
So this discovery of a land of the living right next door to Stonehenge, which we've always known was a place of burial, has led to this powerful new theory connecting these two incredible sites.
It's really a tale of two polar opposites. Think about it. Durrington Walls was built mainly of wood, a material that rots and decays, representing the temporary world of the living. It was a place for feasting, and it's aligned with the summer solstice. And then you have Stonehenge. It's built of eternal stone. It was a cemetery, a domain for the ancestors, and it's aligned with the winter solstice. One for life, the other for death. Two halves of a whole.
And what connects them? The River Avon. Archaeologists now believe this river was a ceremonial route. People would travel from the loud, wooden world of Durrington Walls down the river to the silent stone domain of Stonehenge, a symbolic journey from life into the afterlife. Okay, so you might be thinking, how on earth can they be so sure about a giant circle of pits that's been buried for 4,500 years? Well, the answer lies in some seriously cutting-edge science. It was this amazing multi-stage process. First, remote sensing tech, kind of like an X-ray for the ground, hinted that something big was down there.
Then, instead of a massive dig, they just took these small soil cores. Using a technique that can tell when soil last saw sunlight, which is just mind-blowing, they proved the pits were filled in around 4,500 years ago. And finally, ancient DNA analysis from the soil confirmed these were definitely not natural sinkholes. They were 100% human-made.
But just when archaeologists thought they were finally starting to get it, to understand this incredible landscape, the story took one last, very strange turn.
Back in 2015, headlines were screaming about the discovery of a Super-Henge. Scans showed what looked like a row of up to 90 massive standing stones, just buried right there at Durrington Walls. It looked like another enormous stone monument, maybe even older than Stonehenge itself.
The excitement was off the charts. But when the team finally got in there and excavated to see these stones for themselves, well, they didn't find what they were expecting, not even close. There were no stones, not a single one. What the scans had actually picked up were the massive pits where enormous timber posts once stood. But here's the crazy part. The posts had been deliberately pulled out, and the pits were immediately filled back in with chalk rubble. They basically built this huge thing and then almost immediately buried it, decommissioning it.
And that right there is where this incredible mystery stands today. Why would you build something so colossal only to dismantle it? Was this some kind of dramatic religious change? A political upheaval that meant the old ways had to be literally buried and forgotten? You know, the secrets next door to Stonehenge have just raised even bigger questions, reminding us that this ancient landscape, well, it hasn't given up all its mysteries just yet.